Well, the letting go really, well, it's a good idea. It really needs to come from our experience, come from the heart. Yeah, so it's a matter of seeing the disadvantage, so you can say, of selfishness, of holding on. You know, like Ajahn Chah would say that unless you see the disadvantage of grasping, you can't let go. Yeah, otherwise, it's just a high-minded ideal. And then it can be, if it's a high-minded ideal only, it usually ends up as pushing away, not letting go. We try and push it away, you know. It's rather than actually let go. Let go is like a kind of a spontaneous putting down. Like in Thai they say "ploy wang," so it's letting go, and wang is putting down, right? So it's releasing. It's release, you know. But unless you can do that as a direct experience, it's just a good idea, but it's still not based upon the real understanding. The reason you do that is because it's heavy, you know. Otherwise, you know, our default is always holding on, grasping, holding on, keeping something at least in reference to ourselves. So when you see, hey, this is heavy, why hold on to it? Put it down, let it go. You know? Well, again, I would say that unless you see that, if you're only thinking about yourself, when you're focused on yourself, what is yourself? You know, when you devote it to yourself only, usually it's worry about yourself. Huh? It's worry. It's heavy. It's fearful. It's not very pleasant. You know. So when you see that, you say, well, you know, this is more work than it's worth. And when you can begin to experience like sharing with other people. You know, if you have something and you can experience like, okay, I can keep this for myself, you know, and then I can worry about somebody stealing it or me losing it. It's not very pleasant. But if I can share some of this with somebody else, okay, I still have some for myself. You got to think about yourself too, to a certain degree. But I can share some of this, and then you feel, oh, I can do that, and it actually feels quite nice. I don't have to worry about, you know, this person stealing it from me because I shared it with them. You know, so I don't feel so heavy about holding on to it. I share a bit, and it feels lighter and more spacious, and that's quite pleasant. You know, so you begin to experience then the positive benefits of sharing. You know, and I think it's a matter of learning this step by step. It's not a matter of just one big breakthrough or hearing little voice in your mind. You should share. You know, you shouldn't be selfish. You know, yeah, but how do you do it? and practically speaking, we need to think about ourselves to a certain degree, but how much is enough? How much is appropriate? If it's excessive, your world becomes so small, so oppressive, so narrow, and so heavy. You realize this is not pleasant. When you open up to other people, you can listen to other people and receive their messages and their information. Your world broadens. You realize, hey, this is helping me too. If I just hold on to myself, that kind of helping myself is quite limited. It has a limitation to it. But learning to open up to other people and other situations, you learn about other people and you can reflect upon yourself. Hey, that's similar to me, you know, and maybe you can get a different angle on your own story and your own problems too. Yeah? So it's a matter of step by step, I think. You know, well, I can know the one about the opening up to other people. You know, once when I was in Switzerland as the abbot in Switzerland, and it just so happened that during our 3 months rains retreat, there's only 2 of us there. You know, and it's a bit, you know, when there's only 2 monks, it's quite personal, you see. When there's 3 or 4, then it becomes a community, but when there's just 2, it's quite personal, me and him, you see. So the other monk recognized that too, and he said, we should find a forum where we can, you know, talk and listen to each other. You see? So we agreed to meet once a week, and we would meet for 1 hour, and we'd sit together, and for half an hour he would speak and I would listen. The other half hour I would speak and he would listen. Just listen, don't respond, don't react, just listen. You know, and I thought, is this going to work or not? You know, but it was a very valuable lesson to hear his world, to be able just to sit there and just listen how he saw the world. And this was really valuable for me because I realized I was interpreting him through my world. See? And then there was a lot of misunderstandings because we were very different people, very, very different. and then I judge him through my world, and then of course we're out of connection here. So just be able to sit and listen to him is, oh, this is very interesting to hear another person's view of the world. And it really broadened my world, and I learned to have more compassion for him, his perception of things. He had more compassion for me. We could have more space for each other, and we survived the 3 months together very happily. And I advised, there was one time in Malaysia, I gave some advice to a married couple. They got married. And normally, I don't know much about marriage. I wasn't married, but so I thought of this experience. So I suggested to them too, maybe you should just have an occasion like that where you can just sit and listen to each other. That you can really hear each other's perception of the world and of you too. I see you like this, and don't react to it, just listen. Oh, that's interesting. And they thanked me for it. It was a very helpful suggestion for them too, So, not just in monasteries, but in ordinary life too, it works. It can work. You become a good listener, and then when you understand the other people, then when you respond to them, you see, normally we just react to people. See, they say something, I don't like it or I like it, from my perspective. See, I don't really receive them from where they're at. If I can really receive them, then I know, their worldview, how they perceive things, how they interpret things, how they maybe anticipate or expect things. Then I can respond to them now from a place of wisdom and sensitivity now, and I can maybe even anticipate them. Like one of the monks in the monastery in Switzerland. Also, he knows that personally, I don't like to make quick decisions. I need to reflect upon decisions, and being the abbot, I need a little bit of space to think about it and contemplate, because there's many people to factor in, many different things to factor in. The monks, the lay people, the outside communities. So one of the monks knew this, so he would just say, "Oh, we have to decide about this," and then he'd just give me the space, and he knew I wouldn't forget about it. I'd contemplate it, and then the next morning he might say, "Oh, did you have any thoughts on that decision?" And usually I did, by then, So he knew, what how my personality worked, so he could respond to me sensitively. See, because he listened to me and knew me, so, and then it worked. Usually what I came up with then, after, sometime it was a few hours, sometime it was a day of contemplation. Usually the decision I came up with was quite to the point and quite relevant. If I have to make a very quick decision, many times it's not complete. And I feel under pressure, and then the next day I say, well, can I change my mind, because I now thought of something else, you see. So it wasn't quite in harmony with the situation, but give me a little bit of space. Usually, not that I'm particularly wise, but having that space to factor in all the different elements does give a more complete answer, and a more effective one, and more efficient. And he recognized that. Oh yeah, hey, I never thought of that myself. That's a good idea, Well, try it. I mean, when what happens is that we have these concepts, you see, and then we make a big issue of them, the big ideal. I should do it, and all this. But just try it. Just try it. I mean, in Thailand, it's very easy for people to practice. For example, in the morning they can put food in the monk's bowl, in a little way, just little simple little ways. You can try it out. I know one lady, she spends 1 day a week in an old people's home, helping out, volunteering. She's retired now, and this is a valuable experience for her to get to know what it's like to become an old person too. And she has time, so she spends one day a week, a few hours a week, volunteering there, helping out, letting go. She said it's really a wonderful experience. She'd be at home thinking about herself otherwise. Here she is helping out some other people, and she learns from it too. It's a very valuable experience. And many times it's like you learn more. You learn more from them than from them than you can give them. Almost. They give you more than you give them, as it were. Or a different kind of giving. You give them time, and they give you understanding and appreciation, and they thank you, and your life now seems to be more valuable now and more useful than sitting at home thinking about your own problems or when I get old, what will happen to me? And very simple thing, yeah. Just smiling at people, yes, yeah. Say hello to somebody in the morning, and good morning, hello, and it takes them out of their maybe they're locked in their own world of whatever it is, worry or fear or something. You say good morning, just it's coming from the right place. I mean, you're not trying to be pretentious, go around with a big smile on your face and like you're pretending to be happy. Well, you have to acknowledge your own limitations, and from it, when you acknowledge your limitations, you know what the possibilities are within your means, you see. As far as, like finances, like some people, I live in a poor part of Thailand, and people have to think about, how much they can afford to offer the monks every day or something, But the important thing is not, we don't count how much they give, but it's really the giving from the heart. Like some people, when they give, it's just, put something in. Others, they very carefully, they quieten their mind, calm their mind, and then they make a real conscious gesture of offering. And it's the quality of the mind, the Buddha said, it's the intention which is real karma, your quality of your mind, yes. The Buddha defined karma as intention. It's your intention, and the intention does very much color, the action of body and speech. We can see the action and we hear the speech, but it's hard to know the intention. That's why, meditation is so important, to know what your intention is. And, sometimes you can notice in your mind, I'm going to give something because I want to impress people, Oh, it's not a very good intention. You're still giving, that's good, but the intention maybe isn't totally pure, you see. The real pure intention is just to relinquish, to let go, surrender your ego, yourself in that moment. Just surrender and keep your mind clear. Some people, maybe they make an offering and say, oh, maybe this will get me to heaven. Oops, no, don't think that. That's mercenary giving, you see. Just empty your mind as you give. It's an act of, and you can practice this and just giving, and your mind can be quiet, and just abide with that sense of lightness and spaciousness and openness of letting go. Don't think about gaining anything for yourself. It requires some practice because the old habit is always me. I'm giving. What'll I get for it? But if you can practice it, recognizing the value, just letting go, then you can maybe recognize that the positive effects of that, and learn to quieten your mind with that. Don't let your mind wander into the old habits again. So you can use that practice of giving, of generosity, as an exercise, as a meditation practice. And meditation in the Pali language literally means the development. It's a mental development, so it requires a bit of practice, but you can develop it in a more efficient or more pure way, if you like. So a pure intention. It's important that we actually do it, try and experience it. Even you think, well, I have this ideal, but I mean, usually the ideal is higher than our experience, you see. But when you do it, you begin to get into the flow of it, you see. Otherwise, if you raise the ideal too high, it's just too hard to get to. So you say, I should let go, yeah. Just try it, step by step, and then eventually you get into the flow of it, and don't hang on to the ideal, but try and do it step by step in the littlest ways, simplest ways, and it becomes part of our way of living then.